This, ladies and gentlemen, is a big video because no matter what you have heard, size does matter, especially when it corresponds to screen real estate on a high resolution monitor. This right here is the new 38-inch 3840 by 1600 ultra-wide monitor from LG, and if you want to win one of these, that's too bad.
Got him!
It costs $1,500 and I just don't have the budget for that to give that away. It's a lot of money. This is going to be primarily a showcase video because this is a piece of bleeding edge technology, so I'm going to talk about most of the features that I really like about it. There's not that many flaws on it to begin with. I would say honestly the biggest problem with this monitor is the price of $1,500, but especially considering like how much a 5K monitor or any other comparable really high-end monitor is, even $1,500 is somewhat justifiable. So first and foremost, screen size. This baby is 38 inches across, actually 37.5 inches as listed on their website, which is a little bit weird, but I guess round up to 38 inches. That is awesome for multitasking, especially because they scaled the resolution with it. I'll talk more about that in a second, but that lets you do a lot more on the screen at once. Normally with an ultra-wide monitor, you can have two windows side by side, no problem. On this baby, you could easily have three. You can do a lot with that type of screen real estate, and LG has some software included that helps split the screen in certain ways to boost your productivity like that. So let's talk about that display. It's beautiful. It's covered with a matte covering, so you won't get too many reflections. As I mentioned earlier, the resolution was bumped up. It's now 3840 by 1600, so they bumped up the resolution with the screen size. So instead of just blowing up the screen size, you actually have more screen real estate with this, which is important. It's also an IPS display, so viewing angles are going to be fantastic. And it actually supports FreeSync and up to 75 Hz refresh rate with FreeSync, something I wasn't exactly expecting from such a professional workhorse of a monitor, but of course it's a welcomed addition. Now let's talk about that curve. It's a pretty subtle curve. It's not too crazy or anything. It doesn't really distort it like that noticeably, but it does immerse you a little bit more. Like when you're sitting in front of it, you can definitely tell it's curved. The edges are a little bit like coming into you, so it immerses you a little bit more. But beware if you're buying this for photo editing or something, having that curve could mess with like straight lines, so you just want to be aware of that factor when going into it. But I'm sure if you're like a serious photo editor, you can handle that in other ways. So yeah, just something to know. So talking about build quality, the stand is a soft brushed plastic gold color. It actually looks really classy and sleek. I'm a big fan of it. And the back is a glossy white. Normally don't like glossy plastic, but this glossy white actually looks really good, and it doesn't pick up fingerprints or anything. It just looks clean. It looks nice. I mean, you're not looking at the back of your monitor too much, but when you do with this, it looks pretty cool. So talking about I/O, back here we got two HDMI ports. There's the power in, optical audio, which is pretty cool, two USB 3 ports, a display port, which is what you need to use if you want to take advantage of that FreeSync, and then there's a USB-C port, and that's what's big here. I've been using this monitor connected to my MacBook via one USB-C to USB-C cable, and that's incredible. And it doesn't even stop there. While it's plugged in, powering the monitor, well, I mean, it has the other power cable too, but like driving the monitor, it also charges the MacBook. So the power going into the monitor then goes through the USB-C cable and charges the MacBook. That is awesome functionality. I'm all aboard the USB-C hype train now. So I'm talking about the stand. I already mentioned that it was brushed plastic, a little soft gold. The stand itself, you got some adjustability coming in here. Now I unplugged the cables back here so I can adjust it without knocking my MacBook down there. So it's got a long range of vertical adjustment. So it goes from actually pretty low to the desk to pretty high up. So you have some customizability there. You don't really get horizontal movement at all. You have a slight tilt on like that axis, I don't even know, Z-axis maybe. So if your desk is uneven or anything, you can fix that. And then you do have a little bit of forward and back tilt. Again, not too much, but there is some there, and there's no like actual like vertical tilt or anything. But the vertical adjustment is really all you need. And you're really supposed to be just looking this straight on because of the curved fashion. It shouldn't be like off to the side or anything. I like this. So then the last thing I want to mention is the speakers. Not because they're particularly good, they're just like most monitor speakers that are just subpar, but you can still understand what's coming out of them, which is important if you don't have any other speakers set up at the time. But you can also connect to these via Bluetooth, and that's really cool. Would be even cooler if they were good. It'd be really cool, but you can connect via Bluetooth, so they really packed in a lot of functionality here. Conclusion time. First and foremost, huge thank you to LG for sending this out. I love this thing so much, and I will continue to use it until the day I die. This 38-inch 4K ultra-wide, can you call it 4K? Yeah, I mean, you can 3840, 4K, it's gonna work. 4K ultra-wide monitor is the best ultra-wide monitor you can get, and that's just a fact in the current market. But should you get it? that really depends on the user. If you've already used an ultra-wide monitor, if you've invested into the ecosystem and you know that ultra-wide works for you and your workflow, whether that's being a video editor and using the timeline or multitasking or whatever you do, if you like the form factor, this is worth it. This is the best ultra-wide monitor you can get. Monitor you can get. Yes, it's $1,500, but it's the best of the best, and it's worth it. But if you're just questionable about the ultra-wide form factor, haven't tried it yet, I wouldn't start here. I would end here. I would start with something a little bit cheaper and just try out the form factor and see if you like the overall experience and see if it works for you. There's a lot of people that went to ultra-wide and then went back to like a 4K 16:9 or a 5K monitor just because they valued the pixels more than the form factor. So just ask yourself, if you're all about ultra-wide, this is worth it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to see more content. And as always, stay classy.